It's December the 1st on Sunday, but what that means is we will be 1 month away from the winter transfer window opening up. So we're only a month away from January now, nearly. And the rumours are starting to heat up a little bit. West Ham have been linked to various different strikers. We've been linked to a Middlesbrough striker, been linked to the son of a famous footballer and manager today. But there's one that caught my eye. During the week, it came out that West Ham are looking at Evan Ferguson of Brighton. Now, the source wasn't the most reliable one. It was the Express, so take it with a pinch of salt kind of thing. However, it was followed up by Matt Law, who's I feel is a lot more reliable when it comes to football news. And he didn't link West Ham to Evan Ferguson, but what he did do was reiterate that Brighton are considering loaning Evan Ferguson out in January. So whether you believe West Ham want him or not is one thing. Whether he's available or not, I feel is more believable. And the reason this has caught my eye, Gons, is because I want it to be true.
Yes, it's exciting.
I think we need a striker. Obviously, it would give us 4. That's too many. But Füllkrug, so even if Füllkrug was to return, the rumours are he's going to be back in a couple of games' time.
Yeah.
Even if he does come out, you cannot rely on him. You can't say, well, that's him back for the season now. You have to assume he's going to get injured again. Antonio played fantastic against Newcastle, but even when Antonio's at his best, he lasts an hour, 65 minutes. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Danny Ings has looked okay, but I think another striker wouldn't be the worst thing for West Ham. We've got space in the squad. He's homegrown as well. Sometimes transfers just make sense. I think this one makes sense for Brighton, and I think it makes sense for West Ham. And I think it makes sense for Evan Ferguson as well. So, Gons, I'm going to turn over to you. Do you believe it, and do you want it?
I believe we're interested. Yes, I do want it. I think the one stumbling block, there's obviously more than one stumbling block, is Hurstler has said there's no truth in this, right? It's the first I've heard about it. But that doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why that doesn't matter. Because he's too good and he's too promising to play second fiddle to Danny Welbeck or Pedro or whoever else is going to be playing. That's no disrespect to Welbeck, who I'm constantly astounded by how he's. There's somebody that's really elongated his career. You know, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, magnificent. But you can't have somebody who people were speaking about as, you know, a 60, 70 million pound striker just last season, and have him. I think he's just turned 20. I think possibly he's just turned 20. And stifle their progress. Those guys need to play. All right. This is not Divine Mabama here, who they can say, oh, no, we'll keep him in and around the fringes of the squad. I believe he's started one game this season. I think in the last game, he played 4 minutes at the end. So, you know, go on, you know, get warmed up. And, you know, I didn't watch it. I don't know if they touched the ball or not, but you'd assume possibly not in 4 minutes. And I just think that's not going to be enough. So as much as Hurstler will say, oh, no, he can say all the platitudes. He's part of the squad. He's part of our future and all the rest of it. Well, okay, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, he's not playing. I'll defend their right not to play him as well, by the way. This geezer's got he's got Brighton absolutely purring. If that's what he wants to do, that's fine. And it may well be that he just doesn't fit his style of play, but I saw him. I remember the first time I ever saw him in the flesh, and it was away. It was at the MX Stadium, and I had a bloody good ticket. Right, right in the front row, and I think it was. I pretty much sure it was the Ben Johnson game, and I think because I remember Laperty had started at fullback for them, and he got replaced. And then they made a few changes, and it was Ferguson that came on, and I thought, who the hell is this? He was huge. I mean, he was massive. It was just like, you know, people might look at his stats and think, well, he's 6'3" or 6'4". There's plenty of players that size. He's chunky as well. He's a big unit. And our defenders were bouncing off him. He looked fast, he looked purposeful, he looked skillful. And yeah, I mean, he absolutely stood out. You couldn't avoid him or the Ben Johnson performance, unfortunately. So yeah, that was my first. The first time I'd actually seen him or had any awareness of him at all. Obviously, we looked into him. We've actually discussed him on the channel 2 or 3 times since. Just a very, very good player. Now, get on to do I want him? the way we played against Newcastle, and I said to you when we did our player ratings over on Patreon, got some good offers at the moment. Go and check that out, by the way. I said to you, I could understand if this is how we're going to play, how Fulkrug might benefit in this system. Without going and saying the same thing that I'd already said on the Patreon video. If Fulkrug benefits in this system, Evan Ferguson definitely does, because he can do all that stuff with, he's big and strong enough, technical enough with his back to goal, and also that he can lay off the passes and he's got the vision, but also for somebody of his size, he's not slow. So he can also cause a little bit of damage when he's facing and turning and facing. I remember, I think it might have been last season, there was a little period of pressure where he was sort of under pressure. Then bang, he came out and scored a hat trick. I think people were saying, has he been overhyped or whatever the case may be? And he scored a hat trick. It was a good hat trick as well. I remember one of them, he outpaced the defenders and a really, really neat, it was a long range finish, probably like a 15, 20 yard finish, but really low power driving into the bottom corner. This is a really good player, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why I don't believe Herzler as well. It's a different reason for Gonzo, despite what he says. I ain't buying him. But before I do that, I just want to point in the direction of Manscaped. Now, sometimes when we go to do promos, I think, I need to mention this in the next promo, and I forget. However, I'm remembering because I used it last night. No, I'm not way to give you pube trimming tips or anything like that. This is a Lawnmower 5, and it is a pube trimmer. However, it's multi-use. This is fantastic for shaving the back of your neck. Right, you go to the hairdresser, all done. A couple of weeks later, the back of your neck is fluffy, right? It's getting fluffy. Not time, I don't know. It depends how often. Some people like to go to the hairdresser once every couple of weeks because it's a nice feeling when you go there and you come out feeling fresh. However, I go once a month. I'm pretty lazy. I go once a month. But for the last couple of weeks prior to my hairdresser visit, it's getting fluffy back there. This thing takes it off. Fantastic. Anyway, they've got a Black Friday promotion on at the minute, Manscaped. You get 25% off everything. And remember, our code, which is Hammers Chat Pubes. It's a code that is hard to forget, truth be told. But they've got 25% off everything on their website, whether it's a lawnmower, whether it's the beard trimmer that Gonzo loves, whether it's the weed whacker, which does my nose and ear hairs, and I'm waiting for them to grow back so I can benefit from this tool that I purchased. Anyway, go to the Manscaped website, just Google it, and you get 25% off everything, plus free shipping worldwide. Treat yourself. Get saving before you go shaving. Neck hairs, this thing, wonderful for it. In terms of Herzler, to be fair, I think he might want to keep Ferguson round. I'll tell you why it doesn't matter what he thinks, because he's not in charge of transfers at Brighton. If there is a club in the Premier League that has a definitive role between head coach and transfer committee, it's Brighton. They will do what's right for Brighton in terms of business. We've seen it. They're happy to sell their best players. You want our best players? Yeah, we'll price them up for you. Which one do you want? We'll tell you the price, and you can decide whether you want them or not. But not only that, Brighton have got their development of players down to a T. Like I keep saying, it's all very well buying young players like Guilherme, and then one day hoping he's good enough for the Premier League. And when you look at Brighton, they bring in good young players. Yep. And then one day they're good enough for the Premier League. But there's a bit that happens in the middle. They don't just sit there and become... Brighton have got their development sorted. Most of that includes sending them overseas. Belgium is a hot spot for sending them over there with Tony Bloom's connections. But they will send them in and around the United Kingdom if they have to. And there's one currently doing it at Leicester City, who we play very soon. They've got a player over there doing fantastically well at Leicester City. So if they feel the best thing for Evan Ferguson's development is to loan him out to another Premier League club, they will loan him out to another Premier League club. It won't help. It won't hinder Brighton at all, loaning him to West Ham. Because if he starts firing, we're nicking points off teams in and around Brighton as well with the help of Evan Ferguson. And I know they think, that might make West Ham better. Come January, I wouldn't be surprised if there's quite a few points between ourselves and Brighton. I think our ambitions might be slightly different at this stage of the season. And even when we play Brighton, we can't play him anyway. He will be ineligible. There is a problem with the loan. One problem, which is they're not going to give us an option to buy on him. They won't. And if they do, it'll be a scandalous amount of money, 60, 80 million. That delays transfer negotiations. When it comes to loan deals, trying to implement an option to buy really, really delays it. And you don't have time in January. You want to get the deal done quick so the players in early doors. it's one of those we're going to have to loan him, pay a decent fee for him and loan. He's not coming for free. It'll be a few million you've got to send Brighton's way to get him. You ain't going to have an option to buy on him. He's going back to Brighton at the end of the season regardless. And that's why Brighton will loan him to us, hoping that he comes in, plays a lot of minutes, scores a lot of goals, and suddenly his value's sky high. So they would keep a really good Premier League striker, or they sell someone that's worth a lot of money. But that's what January is. You take advantage of situations, and very rarely will a player of the ability of Evan Ferguson be available on loan. Very rarely. It's only because of his injury record, which isn't great, and that's deterred his progress. But when he came onto the scene at Brighton at 18 years of age, he looked ready for the Premier League. He was fantastic. He was, like you said, 60, 80, 100 million. The big clubs were going, oh, hello, who's this? We're going to have a look at him now. He's got injured. It's flatlined his progress a little bit. In an ideal world, we wouldn't loan him. We'd say, no, we're not developing your player for you. We're too good for that. But
we're not.
We're not.
No,
in terms of the striker capacity, we could do with a striker. It's the Jesse Lingard thing, and we got our fingers burnt with that. But the difference was Lingard was on the fringes of Man U and remained on the fringes of Man U. Ferguson would come in, smash it, and go back and potentially become their main striker next season. I would love to see this one happen. I hope it does. And I think he could make a big difference for us. And I think what it does do is it takes the pressure off. So if the club decide we're going to sell Füllkrug for a cut price back to the Bundesliga, they can do it. His replacement's already here. Ings wants out.
Yep.
He can go. We've got his replacement here. I think it just makes sense for West Ham, for Brighton, and for Evan Ferguson. Anything you'd like to add on that one, my friend?
No, mate. I think we've wrapped that one up. I think it's a yay from both of us.
It's a big yay. Do you think it'll happen?
No.
Me neither. Anyway, let us know your thoughts and comments below what you think of Ferguson and the transfer rumour. But if you've enjoyed this video, short and sweet, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. Myself and Gonzo, we're live 4:25 tomorrow. Catch you then.